Hey, welcome back. Year 6 to Lesson 2. Oh, I mucked that up, didn't I? Unit 1, English. There we go. Okay, Lesson 2 of Unit 1. Now, for this lesson, more than any other, there is actually 3 videos that you'll need to watch. So please go ahead and make sure you open up your digital version of the unit, have it playing or have it open in the background, so you can go and click on the videos when the time comes around. So pause this video, go ahead, open up your digital version and have it ready for where you need to click on those videos. Alright, what are you going to do today? Well, today we're actually going, it says here, understand how to identify strategies authors use in a short story to achieve humorous effects. Okay, in plain English this means, right, look at the way an author has used words and the plot to make the story funny. Okay, so we're going to look at how authors use words and how they put in events to make a story funny. Okay, this bear obviously thinks it's pretty funny. Alright, let's keep going. So there are lots of ways that authors can make us laugh, okay, but here are 3 of them that we're going to use. Okay, here are 3 of them. They use repetition, they use emphasis, and they use exaggeration. And what's our little friend here saying? So do you think Mission Impossible is a funny or a humorous story? Did it make you smile or laugh? How does Morris Gleitzman write stories that are humorous? Well, that's what we're going to find out. So the first video that you need to watch is Humour in Short Stories. So you will see that within your unit. You can click on it or click on the link in the resources section to find out how authors create humour for effect. You can pause this video to do that now. Okay, one thing that you would notice is that Morris Gleitzman uses several tactics or several techniques to try and make you laugh or at least entertain you as you're reading the story. And one of them that's very obvious is repetition. And there's also the repetition of very short sentences throughout the story. It makes the reader stop and think, or it emphasises something that you may see as funny. It builds up tension too in a story when you use short sentences. So there is a part of the story where they're all in the ping pong room at the end, or the games room at the end there. And the mother's saying, Jake's thinking, then he saw that the parents didn't care what the prize was. You've lost, said the green smock mum to the other parents. My kids can be quieter than yours any day. See, that's starting to build the tension, and then Morris Gleitzman uses the sentence, clicking on the wrong screen, uses the sentences, the parents all glared at each other silently. So did the kids. Jake held his breath, hardly able to believe it. Alright, so you actually have the short sentence, the repetition of very short sentences to emphasize a situation. In this case, it's the standoff between the parents and the children and who can be the quietest. So Morris Gleitzman's used a few techniques there. He's used emphasis and repetition, and he's almost exaggerating probably what was going on. So there's a few techniques that he's used in just one section of the book. Now that can be found at the end of page 11 and the beginning of page 12 in the book. Okay, so in your unit there's a couple of questions we need to answer. We can just discuss them as well. How many times did Jake think that he had his mission accomplished, only to find that there was another problem? Describe each time that Jake had accomplished his mission, only to find that there was another problem. Now there could be several times here, but first of all I'm thinking first up he'd put out of order signs on everything so no one would use it, hoping that would keep the motel quiet. But that didn't work because the families just ignored it, so that was first time. Okay, second come in, can't turn the car park off, okay, the families come home and then they go to the pool. Okay, so the pool being the second event that Jake couldn't have any control over. Then he thought he'd had it, he thought he'd had it solved with the ant races. Everyone was happy, but then they started cheering loudly. Okay, for the ants. No, it's not what he wanted. Okay, that ended, and he thought, okay, everything's going to be okay, but no. Okay, then what happened? Okay, the kids have gone and the families have gone to the games room. Alright, and a fight breaks out about who can play ping pong the best and who can be the quietest family. And then he tries to solve that again by offering them prizes. You don't have to write those all down, okay? But there's about 5 or 6 times there where Jake thinks he's accomplished his mission only to find out that there was another problem. Right, the author uses short sentences throughout the story for emphasis, and we were just looking at that before. Find 2 examples of short sentences from the story and explain how they create the effect of emphasis or help set the scene in the story. Now, I've already told you at the bottom of page 11, the beginning of page 12, where the parents are in the games room having a standoff. Okay, so that's one example of how Morris Gleitzman has created suspense and built up tension between characters for emphasis. He's helping to build up your view of these families as having a bit of a Mexican standoff, staring at each other. Okay, another really good example of how when Morris Gleitzman uses short sentences to emphasize a situation or a scene or the movements of characters is on page 4. So if you go into your PowerPoint version of your story and you can read page 4, you can see here comes the family back from the beach. It says, Jake hoped that he'd got it wrong. Okay, he hoped that she was glaring past him at the sign. Ready? Short sentences. She wasn't. She was glaring at Jake. Oi, she said, jabbing her finger at him. Why didn't you tell us the beach hasn't got a shark net? More short sentences. Ready? Jake was stunned. Shark net? The beach was the shallowest beach on the coast. It was famous for shallowness. Okay, so you have a series of short sentences there to build up the tension between Jake and the mother and the situation that's about to occur where they come in and make a lot of noise in the hotel. Alright. So emphasis is very important in stories. The order in which words come in a sentence is important in its impact on the reader. Okay? Usually the middle of the sentence is the position that has the least emphasis, and the beginning and the end of the sentence has the most emphasis. So for example, she was glaring at Jake. Okay. In this case, I actually believe that the glaring is the action, and that's quite important, but the beginning is she, who, okay, was doing the glaring, and at who? Jake. Let's have a look at this one down here. In the very first sentence of the story, Morris Gleitzman chooses to start with the word your mission, said Dad to Jake. If the author had started with Dad said to Jake, okay, your mission, the impact of the idea of a mission is not as strong. So find another example of this in the story where they've actually put information at the front of a sentence to emphasize a situation, a character, or a mood. So you look at this example again here. Your mission, Dad said to Jake, is a lot better and a lot more interesting and places emphasis on mission than if the author had started with Dad said to Jake, your mission. Okay, it makes it a lot more exciting by starting it with your mission. Puts emphasis on the adventure. Okay, go ahead and find another one and I'll come back with an example for you too. Okay, how did you go? Okay, one that came up quite obviously was on page 10, about halfway down. He says, it says, Dad was saying only recently that some parents' global fears were making them incredibly competitive about their kids, wanting their kids to always come first so their kids would be better at surviving in a tough world. Something like that. Mum had been a bit doubtful, but Jake could see now that Dad was right. These mums and dads from Unit 7, 8 and 9 were fearful, but they were also very competitive. Now here comes the emphasis on the sentences, and we're focusing on competitive, so it's emphasising the competitiveness between these families. He says Olympic competitive, AFL Grand Final competitive, Nicole Kidman and Katie Holmes playing crazy golf in Hollywood competitive. Okay, so we've actually got repetition there of the word competitive, and he's putting up front words such as AFL, Olympics. Okay, two Hollywood starlets there that might be against each other for a particular reason. Alright, to show the fierce competitiveness between these families. Okay. Exaggeration is another way that authors create humour. Exaggeration is an overstatement and makes something more noticeable in the story. Okay, so let's look at number 5. So just the fact that the author chooses to use the word mission is an exaggeration of Jake's task, but there are other examples in the stories too. So find 2 other words or word groups that suggest an exaggeration. Okay, they're stretching the truth a little bit to provide humour in the story. Okay, so go and have a look at your text in your PowerPoint and see if you can find some examples of where Morris Gleitzman has used exaggeration. One that really stands out is when the families first come back in the car park. The mother comes over to him and says, "Why didn't you tell us that the beach had a shark net? Didn't have a shark net?" Okay. So Jack was stunned. He's thinking, really? A shark net? And this is when he starts using the exaggeration. Well, the beach was the shallowest beach on the coast. It was famous for its shallowness. If you walked the length of 3 footy fields out to sea, the water was still only up to your ankles. A shark would need a lift from the rescue helicopter to get anywhere close to the beach. Okay, so there's an exaggeration. And that one is on page, if I find the page number for you, page 4. Okay, page 4. Alright, and lastly, we're changing tunes a little bit here. We're going to start looking at narrative point of view and themes in short stories. Themes is the main message or the main idea in the text. There's some themes are down here. You can see responsibility and caring, perseverance, so in other words, never give up, not judging others too readily, true friends are always there for you, face your fears. Okay, so each story might have a different theme, a message that it's trying to send to the reader. The narrative point of view, it refers to the person who's telling the story. And there's 2 main types. There's first person or third person. And so this is what we're going to look at first. Theme. Identify the theme in Mission Impossible. So think about the whole story and Jake's struggle to keep quiet for his parents. Tick the box of the theme that you think might be most accurate. So after reading the story, what do you think the theme might be out of these 5? And we can probably remove true friends are always there for you. I don't think that one had much to do with it. Don't think Jake had to face many fears. Okay, so that leaves us with 3. Responsibility and caring, perseverance, not judging others too readily. So perhaps it's one of these. So you choose which one you think. Go ahead and watch the video story theme. You can't click on this video, but you can go to your digital unit, click on the video and watch that. And it will tell you what the answer was. Okay, pause the video, do that. Okay, and did you get it right? If you chose responsibility and caring, yeah, I'd say you're right. Jake is showing responsibility and caring because he is trying so hard to try and keep the hotel guests quiet for his family so they can sleep because he knows they've had a hard night. So that is showing responsibility and caring. He is also showing responsibility and caring to show when he feels sorry for those young kids because they're not having a good holiday, their parents are being too overprotective, and so he's showing, taking on responsibility of ensuring they have a fun time, and he cares whether or not they have a fun time. Okay. And perseverance, of course, could be another option. Never give up. Okay? He doesn't give up. The whole time he tries to think of ways to make the hotel quieter for his parents and his siblings to sleep. And C is not mentioned in the video, but it could be something not judging others too readily. We don't know much about the families from Units 7, 8, 9, but we are making judgments about them based on what he is saying. But the theme of this story mainly is responsibility and caring and perseverance. Okay, go ahead now and watch narrative point of view, where you're going to learn about how authors usually write in either first or third person. Okay, watch that video and then come back to this one. Okay, so in the video you would have learned that when authors write in first person, they're writing as if they are the character. So when you write in first person, you are imagining that you are the character. So you would use words such as I, we, our, okay, my. Here's an example down here. I think I shall go to school. I will travel by bus. I wish I did not have to go such a long way. I wonder what the kids will say to me when I see them. So when you can identify first person usually by the word I and my and you and we. Alright. Third person. Third person is when authors write but they're looking through the eyes of another character and their experiences. And when you write in third person, it's almost as if you're looking through a window at events happening. Okay, you're looking through a window at events happening and writing down what you can see. You're not writing I can see. Okay, but you're writing the events, so you would actually be able to write things like he did this, she did that, him, her, they. Alright, so when you write in third person, it's as if you are looking at all the characters and events and settings happening. So here's an example. Lucy thought that she might go to school. She got on the bus and wished she did not have to go so far. She was wondering what the other kids might say to her. So they've changed this text from first person to third person because we're looking at it through the eyes of Lucy. Here's another one. Notice that there's no I in here, okay? The I really makes first person stand out. Okay, and lastly, the girls were upset. Lucy believed that her friend had purposely not asked her to go shopping. Her friend thought that Lucy was going with someone else that day. It was a big misunderstanding for both of them. Again, it's as if you're looking at this event taking place. So that's the difference between first and third person. So from whose point of view is the story Mission Impossible told? It's not your point of view. It is through the eyes of Jake. Okay, Jake's point of view. So you can write in number 9 there, or you don't have to, but Jake's point of view. Mission Impossible is told through Jake's point of view. Which of the statements below is correct for Mission Impossible? Is it A, the author uses a narrator to tell the story through Jake's experiences? The reader can tell this because the author uses third person. For example, Jake started to explain this, then he stopped. Or is it B, the story is told in the first person by the central character? For example, I started to explain this, and then I stopped. You look over the words in your story and go and see if you can see a lot of the words I did this, I did that. Okay, when you look over your story, you'll see there is not very many I's, my. which means that it's written in third person. Okay, the I's and the my's, they are first person. So its answer is A. Okay, A. The author uses a narrator to tell the story through Jake's experience. And that's the end of lesson 2. I'll hear you back here for lesson 3. Bye.